Pick a cup, any cup. Hardware is so much fun to add to any upcycle. So much inspiration.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Next Stop Upcycler. I'm your host, Angelina of Blueprint DIY, where I teach you how to remake your clothes to be just as unique as you are. But this show is all about you. Upcyclers from all over the world. Season 1 was epic, but this season is definitely gonna take it up a notch. 9 contestants worldwide have 7 days to transform old menswear pieces into unique garments for themselves. The final garment has to be at least 75% from men's dress wear or men's business wear. Before the start of the competition, the contestants were only able to gather their used menswear and sketch their ideas. Each week, you'll watch one contestant try to create the best menswear upcycle, and then you get to vote for your favorite. But this season, we have a twist. Your votes will narrow it down to the top 2 contestants, and then the winner will be crowned by our YouTube celebrity judges with Wendy, the DIY designer, Just Dang, and Fashion Wizardry. And you'll get to see them all together in the season finale right here on Blueprint DIY. I am so honored and so excited, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss it. Let's go right to meet our first contestant, Sarah, from the United States capital of Washington, D.C.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, I'm 33, and I'm from Washington, D.C. By day, I'm a high school teacher, and by night, I like to upcycle. I've been sewing for, I guess, 23 years. I started sewing when I was about 10 years old. I attended a sewing camp. By the time I reached 14, I asked for my own sewing machine. And to be honest, I did not use it much. So later on, I became a teacher and I started teaching English, theater, and running the after-school theater program. So that's when that machine really got into use, and that's where I really started to learn a lot of my upcycling skills. Teaching theater after school, you're always working on a shoestring budget. So I had to go to thrift stores in order to get the costumes that we needed for my students. So that's when I really got into some more techniques. I had to look up a lot of these techniques. So I would look up techniques on YouTube. I'd find, great sewers like, Angelina, and then I'd teach my students and then they would teach each other, because ultimately as a teacher, I like to make sure that the students are the ones kind of running the show. So I started upcycling clothes for myself when the pandemic hit. I was currently working on a show with my students. My sewing machine was sitting backstage. So I took my machine home and I thought, hey, I'm gonna have 2 weeks off. I might as well learn some skills and maybe sew some things for myself. Obviously, I started sewing a lot of masks at first, but then I looked at my donation pile with all these clothes that I was gonna get rid of, and I thought, wow, that's a whole bag of fabric. I don't need to spend a lot of money at my local store when I can use what's already here and get a little creative with what's in my wardrobe. And that's when I ultimately fell in love with upcycling. You can see I'm wearing the bottom of an old jacket of mine that I've had since 7th grade probably. Then I started an Instagram because I really wanted to connect with other people who were sewing and doing what I was doing. And I found so many people around the world. I started to connect with a lot of women. I've collaborated with other women. We've made some reels to connect and kind of spread our love of upcycling, sustainable fashion, and just having fun and uplifting each other. I really like upcycling the unexpected. So for example, when you look at this, it might look like an ordinary pair of pants, but what I did actually was turn it into a top. I've also taken curtains from the thrift store, stick some grommets into them. Hardware is so much fun to add to any upcycle because it really just takes it to the next level. One of my favorite upcycles is when you can get multiple pieces out of one item. So this Bustier corset top was actually the bottom of this jacket that I've had for forever. And now it's a really cute set that I can wear together or separately. Because Washington, D.C. is really filled with, corporate and suit looks, I'm excited about a menswear competition because it's really gonna allow me to work with that basic foundation and really push the limits.
Honestly, just sometimes being at the thrift store really helps to get these new ideas and edits. How DC is this? I think I need to incorporate somehow. Love this paisley. And that's what I love about thrifting. There's so much fabric here, so much inspiration. Okay, but like harnesses, suspenders, I don't know, maybe.
So as you can see, I've been working a little bit on some ideas for my project. I always have these books by my side in case I need to reference anything. I am not someone who sketches. This is a brand new skill for me that I am trying. You can see the pattern that will go along with that. I've used it before and I'm excited to use it again, but in a new challenging way.
I love that Sarah was using upcycling as a theater teacher. That's an awesome example for the kids. And she has a freaking sewing machine tattooed on her arm. Now that's commitment.
Hey there.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm pumped. I'm actually really excited, a little nervous after kind of going through what felt like a chaotic mess of trying to figure out what I was going to do. I felt like I've got a plan. So that's exciting.
Why don't you reveal to everyone what your plan is?
So I hardly do sketches, but I really wanted to push myself to try new things. So the Rose Cafe Bustier, I don't know if you've seen that pattern go around the crafting sewing world, but I've made it once or twice. And so I really want to encourage myself to do this familiar piece, but in a brand new way. So I'm really excited to take a whole bunch of ties.
Oh, nice.
A whole bunch of ties. The ties are actually super ugly, I got to admit. My boyfriend's getting rid of some ties and they're the ugliest of the bunch. So I'm determined to make them beautiful. So that is also going to be a challenge.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see.
The straps will be tied together in a big bow tie, but I want it to be two ties that come together. So I'm excited to take the menswear and really make it feminine. In addition to that, I saw that harnesses were kind of blowing up, very trendy. So I want to see how we can make that accessible for anybody. So I'm going to see if maybe suspenders are the way to
nice.
Yeah, so that's menswear. So we'll see how that goes. And then finally, if I'm feeling really ambitious, if I have time, I want to take these pants that I have that are very olive green military menswear, and I want to mix it with this beautiful menswear blazer.
Nice.
The colors are quite funky. So
like
I'm really trying to push myself to mix patterns. If I can get like some kind of any chain or whatever on that. And then I don't know if I have the top of the blazer left over, then it would be really cool to have like a crop top, just kind of finish it off.
How did you come up with the ideas?
So I've been really inspired by the students I've seen in the classroom. They wear these cute skirts, so I'm excited to make myself one. And then the patchwork bustier, again, that's kind of inspired by like, I want something kind of familiar, but I want to push myself. And I also thought it would be a nice complement to the skirt.
Yeah. So what do you hope to have done by the time we meet on Wednesday?
In my ambitious ideal world, since I do have to work like full time next week, I'm hoping I'll have the whole thing done Wednesday, or at least have the finishing details. Worst case scenario, I hope I have the top done.
Okay, that's awesome. Can we see your sewing space? I'm super excited because you had a whole vibe going there that I'm really liking.
Welcome to my sewing room and Sarge's playroom.
So come on through here, find the fake studio lighting. I really do love my little sewing nook here that I have. This is the workstation where the magic happens. I'm really lucky to have a Singer Pro Finish serger. And moving on to my baby, which is the Singer Heavy Duty 6800C. In my workstation, I always try to have items for my grandparents and my family. I love vintage, unique, antique items. This is another one of my grandmother's pieces, this gorgeous rattan chair. This chair is like my interview chair. This is so impractical to sew in. So like my actual sew-in chair is this right here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look so pretty on Instagram. It doesn't. So that's why, again, I tell my students, Instagram's a lie. Please keep that in mind when you're scrolling through.
Exactly.
Because, we're all just trying to create, like you said, like this kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Here's my scraps. I keep all of them because I really want to use them for future projects. My other favorite part of my sewing space is my Super Zen star. It just warms this room so much. We have some thread that I've stored. This was a record that I know I wasn't gonna listen to, so I melted it in my oven and made this awesome record planter. I try to keep it zen at the beginning of the project, but then it ends up being disaster. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure any crafter or DIYer can hopefully relate to that.
Yes. Sarah, are you ready to start the ultimate upcycle challenge?
I'm ready.
All right, on your mark, get set, go.
Whew. Okay, so it is the end of day 1, and to be honest, what have I accomplished? Nothing. I have everything sitting in a pile still, so I have not started to cut, but I was busy, showing off my sewing space, and I met with Angelina today, which was awesome. I really do feel like I have a clear plan now, and I was kind of nervous about that before. It's 8 p.m., and I know I don't work very well after 9 p.m. So honestly, I am not gonna try and push myself tonight. Look who's sound asleep. He's even snoring. I don't know if I'll be able to get this jacket back. I'm laying out the pattern first, and then I'm gonna grab the ties that I want and start to just envision what kind of comes together. Of course, I have Daria's amazing tutorial up because I am a visual learner. I need to figure out what is the best color combination for my patchwork before I start cutting anything. I'm kind of finding a really fun thing happening here. Look at all the various mini details, but when you kind of zoom out, these colors are really working together, a lot of primary colors. I think we've got a direction. One other thing that I need to figure out is how do I want to do the tie straps for the top? Do I want a big floppy tie kind of bow? I mean, I don't know. That to me is a lot going on. Or do I want a little skinnier? Since I don't have a dress form, I am my own dress form. So that's how I have to figure out, how this is looking. I used just, my sports bra. I tucked in the ties. I think this is the bow that's gonna be right for the top because we really wanna feature the top. I wanna make sure I maximize my use of this and then I can keep the scraps for future projects. What I'm gonna do is go to the back, and I'm gonna go to this middle here and then just start kind of seam ripping bits and pieces so it opens up, and then I have so much more fabric to work with. I think it's so cool that I got this tie. I really need to figure out what play was this from. If anybody knows, tell me. I'm gonna do that with all the other ties I'm using for patchwork. I'm really into messy patchwork as opposed to super neat and clean patchwork. So I did get this men's shirt I'm gonna use for my inner lining for this bodice top. And I'm excited about this super sunshiny lining because why should lining be boring? I used clips to clip together my patterns to the various pieces I'm cutting out, just so I do not lose track of any pieces or forget which one connects to what. In order to try and reuse everything I'm doing, I am using the interfacing that came with each of the ties, and I'm layering them opposite ways so that I can then take this fusible interfacing that I have. I'm gonna put it on top, I'm gonna iron it, and so that this becomes one solid piece that I can then put my silky, delicate patchwork onto. I want all different directions and I want to create kind of a fun, quirky pattern. What I'm doing is I'm going to take it section by section, and once I like the look of a section, I'm going to fold pieces over, right side to right side, clip, sew that one side. It's just kind of like Frankensteining it all together. It's 5 p.m. and this is how far I've gotten. I'm actually pretty happy because I'm thinking I might just do the front of the bodice with this patchwork. And what I'm thinking I might move on to is putting together my liner. Do check out this detail I want to highlight though. I'm really excited to use my stitches that come with my machine. We have liner cups that now need the rest of its shape, and they need a lot of pressing too. Whoops. Houston, we have a bodice.
We've clipped it together on the inside here, and I need to sew. And this is just our lining, of course, but oh my God, it's beautiful.
All right, so here we are at the end of day 2. I'm feeling pretty good, I think. Let's check out the pieces today. My patchwork. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. I finished the lining for the bodice. I plan to cover the front part with the tie patchwork. That's the goal for tomorrow's work day. The skirt, I haven't even really thought about it too much, but I think I'm hoping to get there tomorrow. All right, it is about 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm really excited to continue this project. So I'm using this, and you can see it creates a nice little fancy pattern as I secure it to the interfacing instead of just kind of going all around. I'm gonna add that randomly, but I'm also gonna do kind of a border to secure it. Seam ripper is out already. I just made a mistake. I wasn't really paying attention, and now I don't even know if I can explain what happened, but it's not really lying flat. So I've got to cut or hopefully seam rip this seam and then just like resew again or just blah. I really like to try and go delicately into a seam first, you know, really kind of in like a doctor surgeon would, just kind of delicately, you know, do it. Actually, that wasn't terrible and none of this ripped. That's kind of amazing because sometimes I get pretty impatient and I can just grab the scissors and just kind of cut through. Instead of doing the border, I'm just gonna do the fancy stitches randomly just to secure this in random spaces. And then what I need to do is cut out the pattern so I can turn this into the front part of our bodice. So I forgot that I have this embroidery thread and I'm like, damn, should I just switch and add a little pop like on top? Of course, it took me a lot longer than I thought, but I think it was worth it to kind of bring the patchwork together in a fun way. I was able to get some of the pieces out of the patchwork and I'm kind of excited. I did not have enough for the cups, but that's okay because I think what I'm gonna do is use the other fabric. So this is gonna be like patchwork on patchwork. A little stuck on some decision making right now. As I said, I don't have enough to create the full bodice out of the patchwork, which is cool. But do I make the cups out of this wacky doodle lovely plaid, or do I make it out of these green pants? So I think what I'm gonna do is cut the cups in both and just arrange them and see how it all looks, kind of test it out. In order to maximize the amount of fabric I get out of pants, I always try to rip the seams when I can. So that's what I'm doing with this. I'm not even gonna try the plaid. I'm gonna stick with this and I'm gonna use this wool as my bias binding as well. We are getting there. So what I'm gonna do now is add a top stitch so that I can keep these stitches down nice and flat. And there's our top stitch. What do you think about day 3, Sarge? Are we doing okay? Whew. So we have reached the end of day 3. I am feeling pretty good about my projects. So let me show you what I've got done. Look at the bodice. It's not done, but I am so happy with the patchwork and my choice with the olive pants. I'm gonna continue the olive on the back. I need to put the lining in, obviously still. I'm gonna use some extra cup inserts from old sports bras to use for the cups here. I was playing around with some of the pleating on the pants that is not even close to being done, but as a set, this is gonna look way cuter than I originally envisioned. I'm really excited, I'm really exhausted. So I think I'm gonna go to bed and get excited for day 4. So the school day just ended and I'm really excited to get day 4 started, but I really wanted to show off this kind of necklace that I am now using as a belt chain. I wanted to experiment with it today because I think I'm gonna add this to the skirt that I'm gonna upcycle if I get that far. All right, so it is day 5. Yesterday, day 4, I took off. I really just thought it would be better to get some sleep. I had been finding myself going to bed at 11 and I really need a lot more sleep than that. So I decided to kind of prioritize that. So I'm hoping I have a lot of energy today to push out a lot more work. I've started to sew the ends of the top here so that my bodice is becoming a full piece. I still need to get the lining kind of in the back, and then I need to put some cups in. Before I do that, pick a cup, any cup. I've taken them out to use them for various projects, and I find that they're perfect inside these cups. So that's what's really gonna give me some support and some lift. And then I really need to move my butt onto the skirt. So that's the plan. Let's get going.
If you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun, I have figured out a way that we all can participate. So definitely don't miss the end. I'm gonna give you more details about that. But now it's time for me to check in with Sarah to see how she's doing. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I'm not as far as I wanted to be, but I knew that. And that's why I set like a really huge kind of goal for today. I tend to not get disappointed when I don't make my big goals. It tends to push me a little further than I probably would have gotten had I not set that big goal. So yeah, I wanted to have the full bodice completely done. I think I said I'd have a skirt. I was pretty cocky. I was thinking a lot.
Okay, so let's see what you have.
It turned out like kind of cool. I'm digging the look of the patchwork.
So pretty.
So it's obviously still in, you know, like here's the inner lining that you can see and everything, but I'm really proud of myself because I used not all of the ties that I had, but I used all of the actual ties. Like I reused the lining within the ties as my lining here, which was really cool. I like stacked it up. So I was trying to like not waste as much material as I could. So that worked out beautifully. I also made a couple mistakes today because it's after school and I'm a little tired. I sewed a zipper to like the side here, and thank goodness it did not get through the patchwork because that would have been really bad. And then I put a whole zipper in thinking that would be the best fit for me. And then I tried it on and really struggled to get it up and over, back off. So I was like, let's not deal with that. So I took out the zipper and now I'm gonna go with grommets. So I'm hoping it's like maybe not too late tonight to hammer. I might have to save that for tomorrow afternoon because I'm in an apartment. So it definitely would not be very cool for my downstairs neighbors if I do that right now.
Yeah. So you haven't started the skirt yet?
In a way. So that blazer I had, I'm kind of like in a conundrum. I'm like, am I even going to use that? Oh my gosh. Like I had so many materials. So I'm cutting all the legs off and I'm going to sew all the legs in a really long, wide piece of fabric. And then I'm going to just pleat them.
Okay.
So I'm at the point where I've cut off the legs. I started to sew it together. And then I was kind of just playing around with the pleating a little bit to see how easy or difficult it would be for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say right now, and I'm probably going to screw myself over saying this, it seems easier than I originally thought, but we'll see how that goes.
Exactly, yeah. So I cannot wait to see it on Saturday.
It'll maybe be down to the wire because it's been tough these after school days, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
There's this amazing place in Washington, D.C. It's a grassroots retail pop-up store called Femme Fatale DC.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, they contacted me to see if I wanted to come and do workshops to upcycle for them because ultimately, like, I want more people to be able to do this. So they pop up in different neighborhoods in DC, and they really try to find neighborhoods that, you know, need them.
I love that. I love that. So Femme Fatale DC, you guys check it out. I'm going to let you get back to work. I will see you on Saturday. Good luck.
Thank you.
And I know you got this. All right. Bye.
Take care. Today was not too bad, but not as productive as I wanted to be. And I decided to take out that zipper. I decided to go with grommets. I've laid my grommets out and now I want to mark where they should be because then I have to hammer them in. But I decided at a late hour and I live in an apartment, so I don't want to hammer and, you know, bother my neighbors downstairs. So I have to wait till tomorrow afternoon. Day 6. Hammer time. So your standard grommet kit comes with big sturdy thingy doodad is what I call it, and this is a hole punch. So I already marked where I want my holes to go. You can see the black marking, so I'm gonna really hammer really hard. This is what I call my landing pad for whenever I do my grommet hammering. So hole punch, new hammer. Perfect. And now I can just cut enough of the rest. and repeat times 5 times 2. Now that I have my holes, I'm gonna stick the grommet on the right side because I want that to be the pretty looking side. Push all this other fabric on the other side. Then we want to take the base and we want to stick this washer kind of face up or wrong side up. Align everything. I want to stick this in here. Then I get my hammer out. Alright, maybe I need to look at my own tutorial. Oops. I did do it wrong. I just watched my own tutorial and I have to do it right side down. Gotta always read the directions. What I'm gonna do is just kind of fold over the top and secure it that way. And then if I need to, I can sew it to the inner seam here. So now it has a cute little stitching. So I made some bias binding so that I can bind the bottom of this piece beautifully, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna do that also at the top here. And then I need to fully secure my lining, which I have kind of done that at the top and the bottom. I need to secure it in the cups and then try this puppy on again. I finally feel like I've caught something. This little middle part here is totally a mistake in me not following the pattern, but you know what? It's fine. We're gonna figure out and see if it looks fine that way and just put some binding on it. But now we need to put the ties on as straps and figure out which colors look good. So I'm almost done with the tie top, but I need to figure out what ties to use for the straps, and this has become just kind of a conundrum because I have a lot to choose from, and it's like, do I go solid? Do I go with patterns? Do I just put a bunch of ties on and call it a day? Something really cool though I've decided to use. I'm gonna use measuring tape as my tie here. I was gonna use a tie, but the look of it's really cool, I think. So I think I found a good bow length. I want it to be, you know, a little bump in here. So I picked the spot where I'm gonna stick it in, but I did realize I should have put the straps in first before I did all this, but that's okay. Because again, I'm just gonna put the strap in and use a zigzag stitch on top of this. I'm gonna try and pleat this skirt. And I based it off of my high school uniform. I measured the pleats here, and that's gonna help tell me how much I need to do for this. I cut up 2 pairs of men's pants. I cut off the legs, and then I sewed them together to make one really long piece of fabric that I can then pleat together. Does this sound like the right thing to do, Sergeant? Oh, it is 11:39 p.m. and I finally made it to at least my end of day 6. I'm done. I gave up on the skirt for tonight. All I need to do is put the ties onto the bustier, put the skirt together, and maybe figure out something to do with that blazer if I have time. We'll see what happens after work tomorrow and where my energy lies. All right, it is day 7. Oh God, it's the last day, and I am putting together this skirt. During my work lunch break, I pinned the skirt together, and so now it's kind of coming together. Like, I hope it's gonna work out. If I find time for anything else, you know, maybe I'll work in the blazer, but at this point, I don't know. I think it might clash too much and take away from the set that is the skirt and the bodice. The skirt is pleated, and now I have the waistband ready to go from one of the pairs of the pants. So I'm gonna connect the two and hope this works out. So to make sure I cut this evenly, I'm gonna clip the top of this waistband to the top of my kind of grid here so that I can have a nice line to cut. I just realized something. I forgot that for this kind of skirt, I will need a flap that opens. So instead, I'm just gonna sew all the way down here, or maybe not all the way down here, but at least to the middle, so that this can then remain open. It's definitely fine. It's got plenty of fabric to not just fly open. Can't find my tiny little scissors for thread cutting, so I'm using these so carefully to try and finish off all the details. Last minute idea, I think I'm gonna use the leftover ties from the patchwork to create my tie for the back here. I'm folding them right side to right side so that I can then use a safety pin to turn it out like a strap or a loop. So I'm gonna test and see if the thickness bothers me. If it does, then I will find another option. Thread this baby.
This is really not the prettiest buttonhole, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. Next step is to seam rip, this part in the middle here. So I'm gonna try this trick I've seen where you use Scotch tape to keep the button in place so you can do a zigzag stitch. And so I don't have to hand sew. I just realized I don't have any thread in my needle. What the heck? I think I'm gonna hand sew it.
Okay, Sarah has been teaching all day and then coming home and working her butt off on this challenge. And I'm so excited to see the final result. I know you guys are too, so let's see it in 3, 2, 1. Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
I am good. Looking good. Oh my gosh.
I'm really excited and I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out.
Yes.
I'm trying to go for like prep school girl who doesn't feel like she belongs in the prep school.
Awesome. Can we see it close up?
Sure. So check out the top here. I used the Rose Cafe Bustier, the pattern, because it's a dress pattern. So I used the top.
Okay.
And I used some bias binding to just kind of cut it. And this bias binding is actually from the pants that I used for the menswear. I think everything on this outfit, except for the hardware, is all from the menswear. So I was really happy that I was able to do that. So here's a look at the back. I used.
Oh my gosh. You make
Yes.
ties out of the ties.
Yep. So I made the ties out of the ties. At first I was thinking, maybe I can use measuring tape as a cool nod to, my fellow sewists. But then it started shredding and I was like, oh my God. And that was happening this morning. So I used the ends of, the patchwork ties. I had a lot left over, folded them in half and just zip, 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 put them all together. So it's a nice, because I really wanted to pop a color in the back.
Yes.
And it's awesome that it's the colors that are in the front.
Oh my gosh. I am so impressed. I absolutely love it. How has the last couple of days gone?
Not terribly hectic. A part of this challenge this week for me, I wanted to challenge myself to make sure I had a really great work-life balance. So I
That's
did
awesome.
not let it consume me, but I matched my plans. So I'm really happy.
You did an amazing job. And I have been following you for a while on Instagram. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
Sure. So you can follow me on Instagram, Sarah the Upcyclist. If you just look at that, you can find me. So you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube. I have a couple tutorials. And actually, if you're interested in learning how to do the grommets, you can check that out there. I had to check out my own tutorial to remember how to do that. So find me, Sarah the Upcyclist on Instagram.
So tell everyone why you should be next top upcycler.
I should be the next top upcycler because I can, really help everyone kind of help spread this movement. Let's go community to community, country to country around the world. I'm just all about sharing the love, spreading the love, and having fun. I think that's what upcycling should be about. It shouldn't be about the pressure, about perfection. It should be about you discovering what makes you happy.
I just love Sarah's energy so much, and I definitely can see myself wearing that upcycle. Yes. If you want to see Sarah move on to the season finale, definitely vote for her. Voting starts on January 15th, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you want to participate in this challenge along with our contestant, I'm challenging you to use old menswear to create an upcycle for yourself for the chance to be featured here in the season finale of Next Top Upcycle. All the details are in the description box below. Definitely check that out. I cannot wait to see you guys' upcycles, and I'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time for the premiere of another episode of Next Top Upcycler. All right, bye!